Mark David Storm here, back from a little vacation with San Diego Sheriff's Department. Got some rest and relaxation while I was on the tank with the other shipmates. Was the commander of the bunk. I had two other bunkies, and we celebrated and had fun and laughed and made fun of each other the whole time. For one night, on when we went out for yard, I was the commander of the wing. I yelled at everybody, told them I was the commander, backed everything up, helped the black cart get the TV turned on, and all was good. I wrote this poem now that I'm back, or it's a letter. It's a story. It's called The Gallant Knight. There once was a poor knight sent to earth. His only job was to kill the dragon and marry the princess of the kingdom. He lived his whole life being guided to whom exactly the dragon was, and also who the princess was. He was alone. Nobody on earth understood him. Everybody hurt him or tried to kill him. He saw green army marines in the fort in the hills at the beach, above the beach. And he wanted to be one of them more than anything. Actually, he wanted to be their guardian angel. So, when it was time, the knight got his sword and shield from God and instructions on exactly what to do. It took him 3 years and 3 months, but he fought and killed the dragon, rescuing the kingdom of God on earth. He was ready to go back up to heaven and escape, but the people and children of the kingdom showed him they loved him. So he decided he would stay and be their little king. The Green Army Marines had told him what to do the entire time, and he finally became a Marine himself. He became a captain. He loved the ocean and the sand, and he had a temple of sand at the Wind and Sea Beach, where he would talk to God, and God would tell him exactly what to do. The gallant knight captain became the throne king knight and lived a long life with his people and his lovely queen. At the age of 231 years old, he finally died. His orders for his funeral were to have half his ashes spread on the beach at Wind and Sea, and the other half burned on a Viking ship laid in the middle of the desert. He wanted nothing left behind to make a relic of. When he died, the beach at Wind and Sea was so crowded, all of La Jolla and Pacific Beach was one giant parking lot beach party. People who couldn't reach the beach parked and made friends with those around them. Beer was drinking, sweet bud was smoked, cigarettes were smoked, stories were told about their lives to each other as friend became friend for life in the parking lot on the way to the beach. At noon, the Red Angel Motorcycle Club led the procession to the desert Viking ship. It was one continual tailgate party from the beach to the Naval Station El Centro bombing range campground. Every bar and honky-tonk along the way was filled with celebration, people telling stories and celebrating the king and what he had brought into their lives and what they had brought into their own lives. The Viking camp in the bombing range was miles deep. The Red Angels, with the Skinhead Knights, the Praetorian Guard, and Green Army Marines told people how to make safe campgrounds for emergency vehicles and people who became sick. They made safe fire pits, and driving lanes in case anybody had to leave early or had an emergency. The people policed themselves, with the Red Angels and the Skinheads on patrol in case anybody needs somebody for help, but no help was needed. Beer trucks were brought in, gallons and gallons of beer. All of San Diego's craft breweries kicked in some beer of different kinds, so we had every kind of beer you can imagine flowing freely for the people in the camp. There was water and soda and plenty of food. People brought their own food. If someone had too many chips, they would share with the people who had too much salsa, and they became friends. The celebration lasted 3 days. On the third day, at night, the Gallant Knight, now the Throne King Knight, his ashes were loaded onto the Viking ship, along with half of his queen's ashes, who had died a few years before him. The fire was seen for miles outside camp. The whole Imperial Valley was lit with the size of this Viking ship. The Viking camp stayed afterwards for weeks. Nobody wanted to go home. Someone remembered the Throne King's wolf call, "Ow! Ow!" and called it into the night. The whole camp responded with wolf calls until it was one giant continuous howl. The camp never really broke up, as people would go there on the weekends, drink beer, smoke organic bud, have campfires, and howl at the moon. The Throne King never died because many boy and girl knights were raised up in the Viking camp that weekend. They somehow all knew what to do. Each would become the king or queen of their own Sandcastle Kingdom.